Buongiorno, welcome to Rock and Roll Workshop. I have here a Fender Strat that was a lot of fun to work on. Now, it's an HSH Strat. What does that mean? H for humbucker, S for single, H for humbucker. Does it go from bridge to neck or neck to bridge? I don't know. I don't really care. The cool thing about this guitar, the way it's wired, is it's a totally custom thing. The customer came to me with an idea and said, I want my guitar to do this. You saw something on YouTube or a forum or read about something, and I went, you want it to do X, Y, Z, and you also want it to do that. Okay, right, well, I'll get my thinking cap on. And I had all these crazy ideas. Well, you could do it. You could put a switch here. You could put a switch there. Da 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 da. And it turns out that the configuration he wanted, it really did exist already out there, and all I had to do was follow a plan. But if you haven't heard of this configuration, now's the time for you to learn something great and fantastic. So, what we have with this HSH Strat, it was originally an HSH version. You'll notice now we've got PAF pickups, P-A-F. Patent applied for, whereas before we just had naked pickups. So when I went to put these ones in, I noticed that the cutouts on the pick guard weren't as big as they needed to be. So I had to file those out a little bit. That took a little bit of extra time. The middle pickup, as you would expect, went in no problem. And now we've got our humbucker, single humbucker configuration. So the other things that we have here, we have a push-pull switch. You hear that? Oh, it's just so satisfying. Now what that does is it acts as a coil tap, if you want to call it that, and it changes our humbuckers into single coils. So down in the number 1 position there, you can have either as a full humbucker on the bridge or single coil, hooray, hooray, hurrah. In the second position there, you can have your your classic sort of Strat sound, although you're not going to get the angle. It's not going to sound exactly like you would expect from a Strat, but you still have that slightly sort of phasey type of thing happening. And the middle position, of course, you're just going to get your middle pickup. The number 4 position, you're going to get this guy and this guy, again with the option of making this single coil or humbucker, so you could have it running with a total of 3 coils or 2, whichever you want. Right, and then of course in a number 5 position you can have just the neck, and then you have your option to make it again either single coil or humbucker. Now it doesn't stop there. The fun does not stop there. What we've also got here is a blend pot. Now it says tone on there. I'd love to get a wee knob that said blend. Now what's happening there is we've got a 250K no load pot. Now what that means is when you turn it up to 10, it means that there's complete electrical separation. So it's normally what you might use that for is a tone circuit in a guitar. If you want to just completely take the tone circuit out of it, turn it up to 10, and it's not even there. That's a cool feature. But in this, what we've got is a blend feature. So what it does is as soon as you knock it off 10 and you're around 9, all the way to 0, you're starting to blend the neck and the bridge together. They're working in parallel. It's a really simple switch. Or sort of simple operation rather. You're just taking the outputs of these guys and you're sticking them on the 2 pot legs of this, and when they're all the way down to 1, they're shorted together and they're working in parallel. Same sort of a thing that would be happening in a Les Paul. So it works in a various different ways. When you have it on the number 1 position, or sorry, number 5 position, all the way forward, and you're working on your neck, you wind down the blend thing and you blend in the bridge as well. So at that point, it's a little bit like a Les Paul sort of a thing, because you've got your humbuckers working in parallel at this kind of a distance. And then what happens, bosh, you do that, you pull up the push-pull, and you've got them both as single coils. Now that works exactly the same in the other direction too. If you're in the number 1 spot and you've got your bridge, turn the blend down and you've got the exact same configuration. So in a sense, with the blend happening all the way, number 1 and number 5 are doing exactly the same thing. The same can be said for the number 2 and the number 4 position. Now what happens there? In the 2 and the 4 position, when obviously you've got these 2 guys working, but when you blend in, then you've got this guy working as well. So you've got all 3 pickups going at once. And then you've still got the option to make these 2 single coils. So you can either be running 3 coils or you can be running all 5 coils. at once. So the tone possibilities here are somewhat endless. Now, what you don't have in this configuration is the individual tone controls rather for your pickups. You've got one master tone, and that is here. Now, if it were me, what I would have loved was to have a no-load pot for the master tone, because then you could have, no tone control at all, and you have as much bite as you can possibly manage coming out of this with 500K pots. But I don't think they make a no-load push-pull pot. You know what I'm saying? If it were me, maybe I would have put the push-pull pot at the volume end of things and keep the master tone control as I'm getting confused, as a no-load, and that would have expanded your tone capabilities even more. But this is the configuration that the customer wanted. That's what he gets, and there's way more happening here than your average Strat. So we've taken a Strat, which was pretty versatile anyway, and we've made it even more versatile. So that's kind of cool. Now, other things about this guitar. I don't like the spacing up at the nut. The frets are angled such that the E string kind of wants to slip off the fingerboard if you know that feeling, right? But that's a project for another day, I think. The nut is not plastic. It's one of these sort of human-made bone alternatives, so I didn't think it was worth changing just for that. But we'll see. Maybe we'll see this guitar again. Some of the frets, I guess, when they came from the factory, are the tiniest bit rough. You notice when you're bending strings up here, a little bit of drag on the fret, but it's, again, maybe that's a project for another day. But right now, electrically, this is about as versatile as you can get, almost as versatile as you can get. And I've had a good time configuring it. I've learned a little bit about some new tone possibilities, and yeah, alternatively, if you didn't want the blend pot, you could just have another switch that knocks them in, a bit like a Les Paul sort of a thing. Because the blend, maybe it's very subtle in the in-between regions. Who knows? Time will tell. You stick it on a big rig, and then you blast it. So I've had a fun time. I hope you did too. Thank you. Bye.